What's up, guys? Big Papa Drock back with another Raid Shadow Legends video. And guys, I am so stoked for a couple different reasons. I'm so stoked because number one, I finally got my Embrys. Oh baby, that's what this video is about. Of course, we're going to test Embrys. I'm going to show you the best ways to build him. We're going to see exactly what he's capable of. And man, he should be a meta changer. So I am super stoked about that. And then I'm also super stoked because my Florida Gators just beat the Auburn Tigers to make it to the national championship for basketball. As of the time of this recording, I cannot believe how, incredible that we get to play for a national championship. I know maybe a lot of you don't care about sports. Maybe you do, but for me, I love that. I'm super passionate about it. And it is a major thing. It literally just happened right before I started to record this video. So if you're excited for the national championship game, let me know down below. If you love sports, let me know down below as well. But what I also want to know is, do you love Embrys, or will you love Embrys after this video is done? So, guys, this champion, man, this champion has so many different ways for you to potentially build him, for you to use him. I genuinely think this is a potential meta-changing champion. And we're going to go through his kit, and I'm going to show you the different builds, and then we're going to test him out. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the kit. Best part about Embrys, everybody can get him. All you got to do is do Chimera stuff, and he is yours. May take you a little bit longer, may take you less time, depending on if you get lucky with the fragments. But hey, everybody can get him. I love that. And I love when they have champions like this that genuinely affect the PvP meta, that everyone can get their hands on, that I don't think are broken. Like, I don't think this guy is necessarily broken. We'll see if I'm correct or not. But let's go through his kit. He's got two forms, of course. He is a mythical. We got the A1 in the first form. Fetid Glaive attacks all enemies, destroys each target's max HP by 3%, stacking up to 30%. Also increases the duration of one random debuff on all enemies by 1 turn. This effect cannot be resisted if enemies have any Necrosis stacks. And the damage is based on HP. Yes, this is an HP champion, sort of, because we'll see in the second form that he gets damage from other places as well. But hey, great A1, kind of underrated. The fact that you can destroy a little bit of targets' HP isn't a bad thing when you're facing HP-based nukers, and we certainly face a lot of those in the arena nowadays. And this would help reduce their damage for everybody that isn't named Taurus. So not a bad thing. And then decreasing the duration of debuffs on an AoE, really good. So awesome stuff. Interesting that you can only avoid resistance if he has Necrosis stacks. So you still need accuracy if there's no Necrosis stacks, but we'll get to that in a second. Then we go to the A2, places a True Fear debuff on all enemies for 1 turn and a 50% decrease attack debuff on all enemies for 2 turns. These effects cannot be resisted if enemies have any Necrosis stacks, then grants an extra turn. Oh, that's a spicy A2. Now, in the arena, being able to place debuffs is, a hit or miss thing when Stone Skin is all over the place, right? So, this skill by itself is like not super incredible for most arena fights. True Fear can be useful, and certainly they're leaning more in that direction. Decrease attack is great for PvE type stuff. Again, you're going to need accuracy if you don't have Necrosis stacks, and you're most likely not going to have Necrosis stacks at the start. Well, you won't have Necrosis stacks at the start of a battle, to be clear. I love the fact that this grants an extra turn. The one thing I would say is I kind of wish that this extra turn came off of this A3 instead, because this is the meta changer, guys. This is the ability we have looked for a long time, and we're going to get in real depth here because this is truly a game-changing ability. The Unmaking attacks all enemies, removes any Stone Skin buffs. Yes, removes any Stone Skin buffs and replaces them with the True Fear debuffs. Block debuffs will be replaced with block buff debuffs. Wow. Oh, baby. And here's the thing. This is the only ability that ignores the 50-50 chance on Stone Skin buffs that are placed by Stone Skin sets. Wow, right? Crazy that we finally got to this point. I would cite the introduction of Stone Skin into this game as one of the initial downfalls of Arena and of enjoying Arena. That's just my personal opinion. You may feel very differently, and that's completely fine. But we have struggled with this buff for years now at this point. And this is the first champion that can actually 100% deal with it. Now, funny enough, I have a differing of opinion here on whether or not things like this are overall good for the game. And there are a bunch of champions that now just ignore rules. Nell is another great example where her poisons ignore block debuffs, buffs. Overall, is that a good thing for the game that the rules can be broken by certain champions? Frankly, no, it is not. It's the same thing with Lamasu ignoring polymorph, whereas everybody else is subject to it. It's not, if you were going to look at me and how I would design a game, this is not how I would do it. Where you have champions where the rules just don't apply. But this is the way Plarium has chosen to do it, and it's not going to change. And the one upside of this is that Stone Skin was a terrible mechanic, in my opinion, when it was introduced. So at least we have a way to deal with it for the most part, because this can still be resisted by lightning cage type stuff. It's not a guaranteed strip when someone has lightning cage on them. But at least we have a way to deal with things, and at least this is a champion that everyone can get. So, you know, pros and cons, right, guys? And I'm going to always shoot you straight. I'm not going to BS you. That's just what I think. Let's read the rest of the skill. Also removes any buffs positively affecting stats and replaces them with their mirror debuff equivalent, such as increased attack being replaced with decreased attack. Buffs such as continuous heal and strengthen will be replaced with heal reduction and weaken debuffs respectively. The mirror debuffs will have the same duration as the buffs before they were placed. Then steals 5% of each target's turn meter for each buff converted into a debuff by this skill. Also decreases the turn meters of all enemies by 20%. These effects cannot be resisted if enemies have any necrosis stack. So again, you get the ignore resistance of the mythical down here. Resistance is dead for the most part at the high end and has been for a long time. It's more viable if you're not a spender in this game or if you're, you know, lower end. So you're going to need accuracy on this guy since you only get the irresistible stuff with necrosis. But what an incredible skill. What a really interesting thing. The funny thing about this is the turn meter steal and the turn meter decrease ends up being a net negative in some arena sessions, because this means that Marius is going to feast on you if you are Embrys trying to steal stuff. Like, you may take away his stone skin, but he's going to pop off on the enemy team. So Marius is a hard counter to this. Maybe a good thing, maybe a bad thing. You know what I mean? We'll have to see. We'll have to see how it works. But overall, this ability is a literal game changer. It is a game changer because Stone Skin can now consistently be removed unless someone has lightning cage. And the other upside of this too is maybe this means more people will put things other than polymorph on their champions. I say maybe because polymorph is still ludicrously overpowered, even with wands reflecting it left and right. If they would just fix that debuff, we would be in a better place overall. But, you know, we're not there yet. I'm going to keep campaigning for it. Common sense maybe one day will prevail. So this form is a support form, right? This is a really incredible by itself. This is a game-changing thing. You know, you'd probably lead off with this because you get the extra turn. If anybody doesn't have some type of stone skin on, you throw a true fear on them if they don't have a block debuffs or a stone skin, and then you go right into this. Ideally, it'll be flip-flopped where you're stripping and then going to this, but again, for balance reasons, maybe that's why they did it the way they did. Since you are stealing turn meter and you are decreasing turn meter, you could hypothetically get another turn off of this as well, though that will be tough with protected buffs, lightning cage, so on and so forth. So that's the first form. Now let's look at the second form. Second form, super interesting as well. And part of what makes this champion so difficult to build, frankly, is how stats hungry he is going to be, depending on what build you go for, which we'll go into in a second. But your second form is a damage dealing HP form. We've got the A1, Unmaker's Blade, attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target has any necrosis stacks, also places a block revive debuff if this attack kills an enemy. Oh man, and damage based on HP and accuracy. You love to see that they've done damage on HP and accuracy since you're going to build this champion with accuracy for the first form no matter what, but having a block revive on an A1 and a potential extra hit if anyone else has already died and gotten a necrosis stack on your enemy, this is big. And I'll tell you right now, spoil it, this thing hits hard. This A1 hits very hard with a double hitter. So this is a legitimate threat, the block revive right here. So great A1. A2, Atomize. Attacks all enemies, deals double damage to enemies whose accuracy is lower than this champion's accuracy, ignores 50% of each enemy's defense whose accuracy is equal to or higher than this champion's accuracy, and damage based on HP and accuracy again. Again, sick ability here, right? No matter what, you're getting some boost to damage. You're either dealing double damage if their accuracy is lower than you, or you're just going to ignore 50% of the defense if your accuracy is higher or equal to the enemy. So really, really, really cool A2 that we have right here. And it's an AoE, and it books down to 3 turns, so you get that back pretty quickly. Then we've got another ability here. Your life is forfeit, swaps HP with an enemy. If the target is a boss, fully restores this champion's destroyed max HP and fully heals this champion instead. That's cool. HP swaps can be really annoying in Arena, so that's cool as well. Each time this skill is used, increases this champion's ignore defense effect by 10% while in their alternate form, stacking up to 50%, then grants an extra turn. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, you can hypothetically have 100% ignore defense on this AoE over the course of a battle, courtesy of your life is forfeit. Now, you could use this where you start off with this to get a little bonus 10% ignore defense and then go in the A2, or frankly, you could use the A2 and then go to the A3 to get your A2 back faster since you're getting an extra turn off this. This is on 4-turn cooldown, booking, essentially acting as a 3-turn since it's got the extra turn. What a crazy kit, right? Let's read the passive now. It gets better. When this champion dies, reflects damage equal to 50% of the fatal hit back to the attacker, including any surplus damage. Whenever an enemy is killed, places 1 Necrosis stack on all other enemies. Necrosis stacks cannot be resisted or blocked. Necrosis stacks can only be removed by reviving dead allies. This effect does not apply against bosses and their minions. If there are multiple champions in this team, only one of the skills will activate. And then active effect, if this champion is about to get killed by a fatal hit, preempts that hit and instantly places a revive on death buff on them for 1 turn before the damage is taken. Wowee wow wow. My mustache is itching the living crap out of me right now, by the way, but wowee wee wow. What a kit, guys. What a kit on this champion. And as a result, there are so many different ways that you could potentially build him to be successful in the arena. And this is, without a doubt, an arena-based champion. You could use him for wave clearing. I don't think you're going to get a lot of use out of him, something like Hydra. You know, he's an arena guy. That's what he's meant for. And he's an arena problem solver because Stone Skin is a problem. And although, again, whether or not you're introducing champions that break rules, if that's good for the longevity of the game, we'll find out. He's here, and he does help fix a problem. So let's look at the best ways to build him and also how I have mastered him, because this is where you really get into the nitty-gritty of what is the best build for you. So first and foremost, you've got essentially several different options you can do here, and the blessings and masteries are going to depend on what you do. So I've got 3 different builds set up for you at the moment. The current build he's in right now is a 6-turn or a 6-piece pinpoint build, all speed, high accuracy. We're just solely looking to strip Stone Skin in this build. This is solely what this build is about. Then I've also got a pinpoint Stone Skin build that we're going to look at that's built for damage, and a just pure pinpoint damage build as well. So really your options come down to, do you want to build him fast with no damage, forget about the crit rate, forget about his second form, basically focus entirely on his first form, where all you're doing is trying to strip people's Stone Skin and control them with true fear. So that's your first option, fast, high accuracy, as much pinpoint as you can muster. Hypothetically do Feral, but it's just not as good because it's not giving you a guaranteed chance to not get polymorph, which is really big. Or alternatively, you build them with some damage. We'll look at that in a second. In terms of artifacts, I mean, I frankly, Wand of Submission, probably going to be your best option here. Even with pinpoint, polymorph is a game killer. And you want to make sure that you are either reflecting it back or not having it affect you, or both, I should say, since you are reflecting it back. Either way. So Wand of Submission, probably your overall best relic. You could also use something like a Cat's Gaze if you're going more for damage, and I'll switch him into that when we switch and test for damage, because we're going to do this a little bit backwards too, in terms of the test as well. In terms of skills, we already went over this. Blessing-wise, he's not blessed right now, and the blessing is going to make a massive difference for him, especially because of how stats hungry he is if you're trying to crit cap him and still have him be fast and have him, you know, strip and all this other stuff. So for him, a blessing is going to be really, really important. It is for every champion. But in terms of your best options, you got a couple different ways you could go. You could go something like Lightning Cage if you're putting him in Stone Skin with pinpoint, or even just pinpoints. You avoid having it stripped potentially. You could do Intimidating Presence if you don't have someone else on the team with that. You could do something like, for example, Nature's Wrath even could potentially work on him if you're placing all these debuffs. And I guess the biggest question of this is, if you're switching a debuff from the positive version to a negative version, does that still work for Nature's Wrath to improve his damage? I don't know, to be honest. I have no clue. I would hope so, but just something to keep in mind. You can go Polymorph, of course, still, though hopefully that will be less powerful going forward. I say hopefully because I'm sure it won't be. You could do Life Harvest. You could do potentially Chainbreaker to avoid him getting controlled. A lot of different directions you can go in here. Temporal Chains as well, or even something like Ward of the Fallen, although I don't think that would make as much sense as some of the other stuff. So a lot of different blessings you can go in here, but really the most important thing about the blessings, honestly, is just the stat bonus. This stat bonus is so massive for him. An extra 10,000 plus HP, an extra 45% crit damage, an extra 90 accuracy, and an extra 20 speed potentially is a game-changing thing for him as a mythical because of how difficult he is to build. Let's take a look at the masteries. Now, I have him masteried specifically for a damage dealing mode. I'm not going to switch him over. Ideally, in a pure speed, no damage mode, you're going to be taking something like Eagle Eye here to up his accuracy instead of Helm Smasher, which is what I've taken down here. But my initial build from when I started testing him was to try to blend the two, where I've got, you know, damage over here in the form of Helm Smasher. I've also gone with Methodical because every time he uses that A1 in that second form, I want to try to get that block revive. Now, you could argue for going defense if you're going to build him with an offense tree in order to try to get things like Retribution and counterattack opportunities, where you might have a chance to snipe someone with a block revive. This is definitely viable, but given how bad his stats are right now without a blessing, I have chosen to go support because I need the accuracy boost. And also the nice thing about this is you can grab stuff like Arcane Celerity, where you're increasing his turn meter potentially and getting him back around faster when his debuffs expire. And then same thing with his Cycle of Magic, reducing the chance of his skills, the cooldown reduction, or increasing the chance of a cooldown reduction. Lore Steel, again, to boost some of those attributes. And then Master Hexer here, this is really just for the increase accuracy, or decrease accuracy, or excuse me, decrease attack on that A3 on his first form, or A2 on his first form, because you can't increase the duration of True Fear. So just went with this. You know what I mean? You could go maybe Spirit Haste. You're not going to go Lasting Gift since he's not putting buffs on himself. But that's how I've chosen to do it. There are differing things here depending on how you're going to build them. I think overall, when I talk about, and let's look at the stats now. So again, we've got him in his speed build right now. This is pinpoint, 6-piece pinpoint with speed. And just to give you an idea of the kind of gear that we're using here, I busted out some of my triple rolls, things like that. Sadly, this is a crit damage speed thing because this is the fastest gauntlet I have for pinpoint. This is a triple roll accuracy chest, speed, accuracy. You know what? Let's boost that. I can't help myself. Where's the accuracy? Let's just throw a fiver on there. And roll one more. Okay, that's fine. There, much better. And then we've got accuracy with a triple roll here down on the banner, and then more pinpoint gear. Again, this is doing double duty for me since I have him in a damage build later. And then let's just look at what the stats look like when it comes to speed. So this is him pure speed, pure high accuracy. Now imagine this being over 600 with a full soul. Imagine the speed being closer to 400, way more defense, way more HP. I mean, again, you're not worrying about crit rate if you're trying to build him like this, and ideally his crit damage would be lower, frankly, and you'd have more survivability stats. But I'll tell you honestly, though this is probably going to be the build that you see most often in Arena, at least at the high end to start, I don't necessarily think this is the best build for him. And that is because if you can manage it and get him into a hybrid build, which I'll show you quickly right now, if you can get him into a hybrid build, his second form then actually offers you value. So let's take a look at a pinpoint stone skin build that I have on him right here. So this is my, how is my storage full again? I have no clue. Whatever, we'll switch into it later. But this is an example of a pinpoint stone skin build to put on him if you are looking to do damage as well. So if you're not just looking for the first form, if you want to max that second form, so you'll notice he's still built really fast. And that's because realistically, you need him fast to strip the stone skin buffs, right? Like you need this champion fast. Ideally, if he is fully maxed out, he's 350 plus speed in this build with damage at the same time. So think of him as like an Odin, but a harder Odin to build because you need his crit rate, or you need his stats, his HP stats to be capped. Whereas Odin does damage on enemy max HP and you can get away with having lower damage stats. You can't do that with our boy Embrys. You need HP. You'll also notice his second form gets a bonus to HP, a bonus to damage, right? So this is sitting at 270% damage, still 353 accuracy, so still a bit of accuracy, but not a ton. I would love to have this be closer to 500 or more, and then rely on that 20% strip, addition, or that 20% ignore resistance that mythicals get. So this is why he's so tough to build. No matter how you're building him, whether you're building him for damage, whether you're building him for just solely speed, like you need great accuracy on him. You obviously want more so that you have a better chance of stripping stuff, but this is enough to get by to strip most people in the arena nowadays. Your big exception here would be someone like Crixia, Galathier, champions like that need resistance as part of their kit in order to function. So, just something to keep in mind. So this is the Stone Skin damage build. This is what we're going to test in Dragon. But for now, let's just take him quickly into Arena in his current build, which again is the 6-piece pinpoint, and just see what he can do to help us in Arena. As you can tell, I'm trying to get a little more in depth with some of these things as well, so people understand what we're doing. Now, the other advantage of putting him in a Stone Skin pinpoint build is that when Marius gets turn meter decreased, you don't have to freak out the way that you do if he's not, because his Stone Skin strip is based off of hitting enemies. If you don't hit enemies, you don't strip. So if he's enfeebled, he's not going to get his benefit. The other thing too is Stone Skin helps you counter stuff like Taurus, where then he's usable against Taurus Marichka builds that might still have Stone Skin on them. And that's important as well. So we're going to use our Arbaeus here because we don't want to turn meter decrease Marius. We want to have him go second. I think he is faster than Marius at this point, and we'll find out. Oh, this is actually tough though, because Queen of Hearts. This is a tough one. We actually have to use, I think I took a piece off my Arbiter, funny enough. And they have an Odin. And a Sifi. This is where it gets tricky, because he's not like really speed tuned with everything else as part of the showcase. Let me see if I can get away with, I did just strip my Odin in order to make this video as well, so we're really making this tough. Where is my Odin? Because I took the accuracy off of him. We should go first, but I don't know if we get a chance to go next. In fact, I'm relatively certain we don't, but I'm going to try it just because we've already chosen this team. Queen of Hearts, very difficult to deal with when it comes to speed teams. Really can screw your stuff up. So we have to immediately go here. Now we've got two things of Stone Skin, and we have over here the chance to True Fear. This is actually a great example of, I'm going to True Fear first to get this extra turn, because I specifically want to give myself a better chance to go next. So we're going to lead with the A2 instead of the A3, which does the strip. We'll lead with the A2. Hey, look at that. True Fear, decrease attack. Now, they still might act, right? True Fear isn't guaranteed for a cooldown or preventing them from doing stuff, so this could still backfire. But let's take a look now at stripping the Stone Skin here. So two different things of Stone Skin. Gone. Gone. And hey, look at that. Couldn't buff. We get the Necrosis stacks here. Now we can turn meter decrease. Now he doesn't have damage, so I'm not going to switch him over, but this would be an example of, I would love to be able to just switch him over and clean this up, right? But we can't do that. But we can do that. That's not bad. Hey, look at that. Easy peasy. Even slowing down. 1 minute 16 because we just stripped all of that disgusting, nasty Stone Skin that we have hated for such a long time. Let's do it again, guys. Let's strip again. Now here's an example of a Necrit. Will Alil go first? He might. With the boosts. He did. Sure enough. Surprise, surprise. Let's see. We just control everyone. Nope. Nope. Game over. The allele meta. The allele meta here. Let's not screw around with that. So this is where you need to have the speed, right? We're not faster than allele with a million different buffs on there. So we can't realistically challenge this team. Let's go over here. I'd like to find more teams with stones in. There might not be any on this team, actually. But we do have block debuffs. So let's just see how this functions. Oh, Marius is still faster. Damn it. My Marius is so fast. That's okay. We just stripped everything anyway. So this makes no sense now whatsoever. But hey, True Fear, look at that. Whee! And I don't think we replaced any buffs since these are all protected. So nothing's going to get replaced. Nothing benefits there. Let's just, here, kill some people. Marius is a sheep. Beautiful. It's all going according to plan, guys. He's got reaction. Now, we do get these Necrosis stacks anytime somebody dies. And if you know Chimera, which you probably do, the Necrosis stacks are pretty disgusting and can really screw up someone's team for sure. We'll just get through this. I don't want to take too many losses because I don't want to fall out of platinum and then have to mess around. We'll put them in the damage build. You'll see look at how the damage the Necrosis does. So even if you don't have them in a damage build, Necrosis by itself can help you screw people up for your damage dealers. Let's see if we can put them without Marius. Maybe someone's a little bit slower that might be able to make something happen. Let's see. Who's got Stone Skin on them? Actually, this will be an interesting one. Let's try this. We'll switch out Marius. We'll put in Gizmak. Where is Gizmak? I am blind. So we should have a little more speed tune with this, I think. Find out in a second. So we do have Stone Skin. We've got Stone Skin on 3 people. No Feral, though. Interestingly enough, I was thinking we might have a Feral because I wanted to test that with the block debuffs action of Feral. But this is tricky. Like, do I want to True Fear first? I think I'm going to get the extra turn just to... Oh, I think that was a wand. So we just got wanded right there. But we did steal. Fun enough. We did steal everything. I don't think I have enough accuracy, so we're just going to try to kill. And now we go here. And now we switch here. We got HP burns up. We do that. Just finish it off. Beautiful. Beautiful, right? So you can see how he can absolutely change the way things work. But let's take him into a Taurus Marichka team on the non-damage dealing, and let's show you what goes wrong when you try to strip Stone Skin in this scenario, which apparently we have only the Galathir. So this is a great example, actually. We have a Galathir here. God, the sheep is just everywhere. Let's try, you know what? I don't know if I'm going to be faster. Let's just try. Okay, well, this kind of defeats the purpose now. I've kind of just screwed myself, but let's try to switch out debuffs or buffs here. We should strip the Stone Skin if we have enough accuracy. I don't think we will, though. And I don't think we replace block damage or either. So let's take a look. Okay, we did actually strip the Stone Skin and replace it with the True Fear, which is sick. Huge. Necrosis stacks up. You love to see it, guys. You love to see it. Still stunned. Now we can True Fear. You can just, oh man, this is where I really want to switch him into his second form, right? You'd love to just switch him into his second form. Actually, I could have and tried to block Revive there, but it probably would have triggered the passive. All good, though. All good. Oh, see? Great example, though, right? True Fear, if it doesn't proc, it's game over. And indeed it is. It's game over here. There's no way for us to win. So that gives you an idea, right? That gives you an idea of where the value is. Like, again, it's really hard on a high-end arena team without the soul to get the maximum value out of him because all of these nukers are built so fast. To remind you, to give you an idea, this is my Marius build, folks. This is my Marius build, 351 speed on my nuker. And this is slow for Marius, by the way. A lot of people have them at 370, 380, 390 or more speed at the ultra high end. Now, again, this is, high end. I know you're not going to hit these speeds. That's totally okay, right? But I'm just showing you the challenges of showing off some of these champions when you don't have the soul. Because I frankly, even though I have them faster, and I've got a relic on them, and I've got a turn meter increase, I guess I have 2 on Marius. Actually, why the hell is Marius faster? Got the same thing. I actually do not know. Why is Marius faster? They both have the same stuff, and Embrys has, I guess maybe because he's not in Stone Skin, so he's getting turn meter decrease. That would be the other thing there. Another advantage of putting him in Stone Skin and Pinpoint. You don't have to worry about turn meter issues. So, speaking of, let's do that. Let's test him for damage now. Let's see what he can do in this modified damage build. All right, we're going to put him in the Stone Skin build. Stone Skin Pinpoint. For some reason, it's constantly telling me, I guess, that I have too many artifacts. I don't understand how I have 7, space of 7, but that's not enough space for me to put this on, which makes no sense. But yeah, because I guess I'm taking these off for some reason. Really strange. Let me just quickly delete some artifacts. All right, let's see. Anyone here? What have I not rolled that I'm saving for a rolling video? I haven't rolled some Stone Skin here. Let's roll this Stone Skin. Is it going to be good? Crit rate, strict crit rate. We can run one crit rate. Let's double roll it. We can triple crit rate. Double attack. Yeah, I'll hold on to it just in case. Hey, here you go. Triple speed. How about it? It's a bonus rolling video in the middle of the Ember showcase. That's how we do it here on Big Papa Drock's channel. If the game weren't lagging. Double, okay. Triple. What do you say? Now I got it. I'm trying to sell gear here. But now I'm like, maybe I keep it. I'll keep it double for now. I think that's probably, frankly, not fast enough. But is there anything in here I can sell? Look at all the Stone Skin gear I've got to sell. Here we go. We can sell this. This is not going to roll double or triple. Yeah, fine. Done. Single. Not good enough. You could hypothetically roll again, but I already have enough pieces right there. Why am I keeping all this kill stroke? I really don't know. I do know, because just in case, with those 100% like crit rate guaranteed thing, you could probably put kill stroke on there and do some nasty damage. Is there anything in here I can sell quickly? I'm crashing out, boys. I am crashing out fully. Where's Supersonic? Triple crit rate? I was supposed to rework that. Hold on. Slayer, Merciless, Pinpoint. Crit rate. That's terrible. Let's sell that. Done. I don't know why. I got to really gear cleanse all this stuff. I think I was keeping this just in case I wanted to roll it, but not good enough. Okay, back to the video. I'm leaving that in because I think it's entertaining. You let me know in the comments down below. Okay, we are now in Stone Skin Pinpoint. You'll notice we're not in Savage Pinpoint. Could you build them in Savage and Pinpoint? Yes, you could. Yes, you absolutely could. And that might be a viable way if you're focusing entirely on the damage side of things, right? But I want the Stone Skin in there because I want to prevent turn meter decreases, and I also want to prevent him getting enfeebled by Marius. I want to have more flexibility here. And also, if you look at his kit, he has a lot of built-in ignore defense potentially in these abilities. And if you throw a Cat's Gaze on him, which we're going to do now for additional damage. Actually, should we? No, we're not going to. Change my mind. Because I don't want to skew the results. I talked about that in a previous video. But you could throw a Cat's Gaze on him, get him a potentially 20% more ignore defense to the point where you basically have a Savage set on. You know what I mean? And I'd rather have the benefits of Stone Skin. But yes, could you do Savage or Lethal with Pinpoint? You absolutely could too. Could you do Savage or Lethal with Stone Skin? You could, but sheep. You know what I mean? But sheep. That would be, in a sheepless world, that would be the ideal build for this champion. Would be ultra fast, lots of stats, damage out the yin yang, Stone Skin, Savage, Lethal. But again, sheep is still a massive problem, and I fear it. I fear the sheep, so we're not doing that. Let's take a look at the stats in this build. This is actually his first form. This is base form. So base form, we're at 292 speed, so still built pretty fast, but this needs to be faster realistically. Still needs to be up to 350 or plus, so I can still take advantage of that first form's strip, right? So this is the downside to building him like this, is I'm not getting enough speed here to really maximize the ability to take advantage of that first form, right? He's not going to go in front of my other nukers. So this isn't ideal. It's part of why I didn't show this off first. Then let's go to the second form here. This is the damage form. We get 94k HP, 270% crit damage. His speed drops a little bit to 285, 353 accuracy. So not a ton of accuracy, not a ton of speed. That's the tough thing here. Ideally, you get him so fast in a stone skin and pinpoint build that he's still going before your other nukers. He's stripping all the stone skin, and then they go right after. They clean everybody up. That's the ideal. I just can't do it yet, and a big part of that is because I don't have a soul. With a soul, would get a little bit easier. I could maybe relax on the accuracy, take more speed, could relax on the crit rate. Again, it's very tough to crit cap him and get all the stats that you need, but that's what we're working with. 94k HP for damage, 270% crit damage, 353 accuracy. Let's take him in. Let's test him. No savage, no lethal. So he's not getting any bonus damage from that. Let's take him into dragons just to see what he does. Dragon 23, as always. Now he's HP, so buffs aren't going to help him here. We'll just roll with, hold on, where's Embrys? I can never find these champions. There they are. We'll roll Embrys. I don't want to give him the 30% crit damage boost, actually. I'm just going to roll Arbiter. She should... Or Arbaeus. I'll roll Arbaeus. That works. Arbaeus. And we'll roll Lydia as always. Is Lydia faster than him right now? She actually might not be. 308. Okay, she is in this build. Awesome. Cool. This works great. We get increased attack, but it doesn't matter since he's an HP champion. Actually, this does matter because he's accuracy based. He's accuracy based. So we'll do this with Arbaeus and we'll do this without Arbaeus because he does get bonus damage from accuracy in that second form. Whoo, boy, glad I remembered that, huh, guys? Tough keeping track of all this stuff. All right. So we don't need to use anything here. There's no stone skin. We're just going to switch him right over. We're not getting a benefit. Hypothetically, you could say, like, if you have certain masteries that maybe he gets a benefit from placing True Fear, like more debuffs or stuff like that. Like 12% damage boost. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to switch him right in. Look at this form. Doesn't this form look sick, by the way? The bones or something? Cartilage? I have no idea. Golden bones. All right. Let's try first and foremost. Let's just try a straight A2 without boosting his ignore defense. This is just the A2, the AoE. We have, I would imagine, more accuracy than these champions. And so we should be ignoring 50% of their defense since we have more accuracy. So let's just see what we do. 283. I mean, honestly, for being in like a non-savage lethal, that's really not horrendous. It's not like great. You know what I mean? It's not great. But then you imagine it with more stats boosting, and now you're like, oh, maybe it could do something. It's certainly not the hardest hitting thing in the game, right? We didn't even clear this stuff. So that is important to keep in mind. And we're boosting his damage with Arbaeus. Another big thing to keep in mind. She gonna kill everybody here? No, she doesn't. Great. I just want to see the A1. See the A1. All right. Now, something what I love about this is with HP is that you're not going to swap HP, of course, with someone who has lower HP than you. But we did just boost his ignore defense now by 10%, and we will get a double hitter here and a block revive. 200k on the double hitter. Not bad. Not bad for an A1. No savage. No lethal. Not bad at all. Let's go and let's test this again. All right. We're going to boost again with Arbaeus. Again, decrease defense, weaken, all the fun stuff. Switch him over again. This time, we're going to boost his ignore defense to start, so he gets an extra 10%. Let's see what he does with the AoE again. Basically the same. Maybe we procced Helm Smasher on some. We got the same kills as last time. We got one more bonus kill. Never a bad thing. I don't know why I'm insisting on, I want to see the A1, you know what I mean? Show me the A1. Double hit, 250k, very strong A1. His A1 hits hard. His A1 hits pretty hard. Again, we're not in Savage. We're not in Lethal. You know what I mean? There's no additional ignore defense on that except for the bonus 10% that we gave. And his stats aren't incredible. A1 hits pretty hard, guys. And that block revive is going to be filthy in the arena. All right, let's take him back in. One more time test here. No Arbaeus this time. No increased accuracy buff. Let's just go strict. Choose them works. So we go in there with Shuzen. Let's take a look now. Okay. We're losing a lot of accuracy here. We didn't get a decreased defense there, so keep that in mind. We're going to get lower numbers off the rip as a result of that. Go right into the A2. Let's see what we get. Ooh, big reduction in damage, huh? Now, not so much here because this was no decreased defense, but we're seeing some lower numbers there for sure. You have like 200K, 190K, I think, on one. Let's go right back in. Increase 10% ignore defense. Let's hit him with the A2. No increased accuracy this go around. We do have increased crit damage. Yeah, no decreased defense, so that was probably the wrong person to attack to get a better idea. Let's try again. This is an inexact science, guys. We're already back around to the A2, though, which is great. It's the extra turn. All right. 135, 120, you know, still really good damage. Maybe a proc helm smasher, but still really good damage in the block revive. I don't know, man. I don't know. Let's take him into arena. Let's take him into arena in this build. Now we have the damage. Can we make it work, even though he's not set up? Leo, you're so speedy. So speedy, and I'm not in Stone Skin. Or no, I am in Stone Skin now, aren't I? Let's just try this again for fun. Although he could strip, he could. Gizmac. I need to test Allele, by the way. I have not tested Allele. Okay, debuff blocked. Now, is he fast enough for me to not? I'm going to try this. Let's see if it works. Okay. It did. Unfortunately, we got the wrong person first, though. But this actually still works. Okay. True Fear. Decrease attack. Extra turn. Let's lead with this. Still has the pinpoint. Great. He doesn't get the extra turn here to strip. Off the extra turn here. I think I'm actually just going to switch him in. Let's just switch him in. Let's increase the ignore defense. And let's see what he does here. There was a shield up. Necrosis stacks go up. He gets Stone Skin now. Now we can't switch back. There's the A1. Stole my block damage. So, he's stealing everything. Allele. There's really no reason for me to switch him here, other than to maybe try to control. Casey has his nuke back. So let's just try to get control. Control up. We can't replace any debuffs here. We can still turn meter, though, which might be helpful to get up our block damage. And it was. And he got turn meter control. Nice. Nice. Now, Siegfried could have blasted everybody there, obviously. But, you know, we're trying to do a showcase here for Embrys. All right, let's try this again. Maria's here. We're in Stone Skin. We have Feral, so I don't care about turn meter increase here. I'm actually just going to hammer the Siphi. Necrosis goes up. Stone Skin. Oh, the strip. And we're cooked. Why? Oh, we switched forms. It's not going to matter, though. Got to risk it. And we got cooked. This is what's hard here, because I'm not fast enough for him to easily go next. You know what I mean? Let's try that again. This is where having the bonus stats would be really nice, especially for his damage. Let's just try this. Let's just lead off with him. Put up the True Fear. Strip down the Stone Skin. Weak hit there, though. Weak hit. You notice that? And the True Fear not coming through for us. And we got sheeped. And we're dead. So there are definitely ways to counter him, right? Because that strip is based off of a hit. If you weak hit, you will not strip. Very important. Ooh, a Teodosia? Let's try this. This will be fun. Speed-wise, okay, we avoided the strip. We wanded. Nice. Now, what happens if I replace this with block buffs, right? Or if I can get it. Okay, I didn't get it because the lightning cage. The lightning cage countered him there. I didn't get the block buff placement. But I also Necrosis goes up. True Fear goes up. Now, let's just block revive with the A1, yeah? What do you say, boys? Sit down. You're done. This is why I love building him with damage, though, right? If you can get it, if you can get the damage boost, because then I don't have to worry about Secret reviving another Odin. It worked. Even though we're not speed tuned, it worked. He has so much potential, guys. Like, he has so much potential when you get the right stats on him, when you get him speed tuned with your other team. Let's see if we can try him with something different. What do we got here? Nice. Sure. Anna Marichka. Take out the Odin. Let's go with just a simple... I want to use him with Marius because I feel like he would combo with Marius so well if my Marius weren't faster. Like, just straight up. Would be incredible with Marius if I can get more speed on him. But let's try just a straight up kind of old school team here. Even take out the Siegfried. Trying to, like, let's make him the main damage dealer. You know what I mean? Let's make him the main damage dealer. I have no res, though, which makes me nervous. We'll give a passive res here. This is not a team I would basically ever run, but I want to try to make him the main damage dealer. Just see what we got, you know? This actually, funny enough, this actually works. Because I can lead with him. We're gonna strip the Stone Skin right away. Fabian, hopefully we don't weak hit. Nice. Multiple strip. Beautiful. Now, decrease speed. Lock out. We get an extra turn here. I threw it up there to get it on the Duchess. I'm gonna actually hold. No, I'm gonna increase damage. Let's get the increased. Ignore defense. Let's slow it down. the damage just isn't there right now. The stats aren't there. And he's also not in Savage or Lethal. That was definitely like, oh, wee woo woo woo. You know what I mean? That was not great. Not great. Oh, man. He's definitely going to be tough to build. All right, let's just try to block revive. A1. We only got one hit, though. Barely did any damage. Right there. Was that an aspect of Siroth? That must have been, I think. I believe that was aspect of Siroth. It's tough to tell, right, guys? I really don't know what the heck's going on most of the time. Everybody's still locked out. Didn't get that there. Let's try that again. Yes, that was indeed aspect of Siroth. And then Necrosis coming into play, right? At least he can't get his sweet buddy back. The other thing here, too, if you double hit, it's going to block revive there, too. Just block revive everywhere, guys. Slow down. Switch up. None of these are double hits except for the A1. So let's see if we can get another double hit because of the Necrosis stack. Yep, enough to kill. That's great. That's great. Again, it's so tough to tell what's happening in Arena nowadays, right, guys? Like, aspect of Siroth, I'm pretty sure triggered there because I was so confused. Like, he did 3k damage. Surely he can hit harder than that. There's just so much potential for this champ. Even if you're just running him without the damage, even if you're just running him as solely a stone skin stripper, if you can get the speed tune correct in the pinpoint, just that alone, just this ability alone is worth its weight in gold. This by itself basically makes him an S tier champion, just by itself. Because stripping stone skin, if you can be faster, you're going to win most of your battles. And again, there are counters to this. Resistance, lightning cage. You know, it's not a 100% guaranteed thing no matter what. Unless, of course, you have, Necrosis stacks, but you're not going to have them at the start of a battle anyway. So even if you're just building him for speed, if you got it speed tune, he's going to be nasty in that regard as well. But I stand by my assessment that if you can find the way to get the stats to make both of these forms viable, that's when I think he becomes really incredible. I just don't have the stats yet, candidly. I just do not have the stats. I wish I did. I mean, maybe there's a world you eventually run him in pinpoint Savage Lethal when Polymorph isn't as strong, and then you can really cook with him, and then he becomes really scary. But you saw how hard the A1 hits in that second form. The A1 can smack. The A1 can smack, especially given where he's at stats-wise. I mean, this is not impressive stats relative to how it's normally tested. You know what I mean? This is really not. 110k HP maybe, 320, 330 crit damage, another 100 accuracy would make a big difference. So, I don't know. I'm super excited about this champion. You can already see the reviews coming in, and Arena Offense is a 5, and I'm not surprised because he is, in my opinion, a meta changer. He is a champion that is going to change the way people approach Stone Skin and potentially change the way people approach Blessings. And frankly, the less of this crap we see, the better, in my opinion. So I'm all for it in that regard. We'll debate whether or not it's good to have champions that break rules. That's the Raid Shadow Legends that we live in now. There are so many of them at this point that don't follow the rules anymore. So that's just the way that it is. And at least the rule that he's breaking is a rule that frankly sucked from the very beginning. And that was, should never have been included. And if you saw my recent Stone Skin video, which many of you did and had your opinions on that, which of course I appreciate those of you who respectfully put opinions out there, instead of the ones who didn't. But if you saw that, I think the biggest thing that's tough with this game is just where's the consistency, right? There is none. There's no consistency anymore across Raid. So you take what you get. And what we got here is a champion that has the potential to change the way Arena plays. So we'll see how it plays out. Guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you see him as being as meta changing as I do? What build do you think is the best? Do you think splitting between speed and damage? Do you think pure speed? How are you going to build him? I'm really curious to hear what you think. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe, and hopefully you'll be getting an Embrys of your own here very soon. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch y'all later. Big Papa Drock.